After years of rent increases, the market is continuing to shift, and Toronto is right in the middle of it. Which was once seen as an untouchable market is now feeling the impact of broader macroeconomic trends. And today, we're breaking down the latest national rent report from Rentals.ca and Urbanation and what it means for renters in Toronto and across Canada. We'll be looking at how rents are trending year over year and how they've changed month to month and why this matters for you as a tenant. One really interesting thing I've highlighted recently is how close the cost of owning a condo, once you factor in the mortgage and all carrying costs, has become compared to renting that exact same unit. But before getting carried away, let's start with the big picture. Canada's rental market is now in its 15th consecutive month of year-over-year rent declines. In December 2025, the national average asking rent fell to about $2,060 per month, which is the lowest level in roughly 2.5 years. Now, that's down approximately 2.3% compared to December 2024 and reflects a cooling rental market after several years of pretty aggressive rent growth, as I've said before. Looking at the full year numbers, average asking rents across Canada declined by about 3.1% in 2025. That's actually a larger annual drop than what we saw during the COVID era market disruptions, which really puts into perspective how meaningful this shift has been. And you may ask yourself, why is all of this happening? For starters, we're seeing record levels of new rental supply coming to the market. Population growth and immigration have slowed compared to prior years. The new international student visa target for 2026 is 155,000, down from roughly 306,000 in 2025. This is a 49% drop, which leads us into the last point of continued economic uncertainty, which is causing some renters to delay moves or to look for more affordable options. All of this has contributed to downward pressure on asking rents across Canada. If you're new to the channel, my name is Trey Folks, and I'm a realtor here in the city of Toronto and the GTA who loves helping amazing people just like you navigate the real estate market here. Feel free to give me a shout by using that first link down below to see how we may be able to work together. And if you think that you'll find value from videos just like this one, you know what to do. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I do want to note that a lot of the rental stock is purpose-built rental projects. Yes, you have a ton of condos in the mix as well, but over the last couple of years, especially as mortgage rates and construction costs continue to rise, many pre-con condo projects struggled with overall sales. You have to sell at least 70% of the condo building prior to obtaining construction financing and being able to actually start digging. Now, when those units don't sell as quickly as expected, developers have less incentive to build them as ownership projects or as condo buildings. Instead, many have pivoted those sites to purpose-built rental projects where the math just makes way more sense, and that's why we're seeing more of them in our rental market at this moment. Now, let's focus on the city of Toronto. The data shows that Toronto is not being immune to these trends, as I said before. Asking rents in the city are down significantly compared to recent peak levels, and in many cases are sitting at multi-year lows. The average price of a one-bedroom in the city of Toronto is now sitting at roughly $2,200 per month, which is down very slightly by just 0.7% month over month, but down by a more noticeable 6.5% on a year-over-year scale. When looking at two-bedroom units in the city, the average asking rent is almost $2,800 per month, which is down 1.1% month over month and nearly 10% year over year. So more noticeable drop there. I do want to note that just because rents have come down, it doesn't mean that it's easy to get into a new unit. As a tenant, you still need superb documentation and a well-structured offer. If you have poor credit or aren't providing the landlord with favorable terms that make sense for both parties involved, landlord and tenant, then there's enough demand out there for the landlord to simply choose somebody else's offer. Even with these declines, it's important to keep things in perspective. Rents in the city of Toronto are still higher than they were before the pandemic. So while the market has clearly cooled, prices haven't completely collapsed. I've highlighted this image before, but I want to show it again. Through the first 3 quarters of 2025, there were 57,000 rental transactions that took place, which is a significant increase from the previous 2 years where there were 48,000 and nearly 39,000 transactions over the same time period. If we look at the column above for total sales, you'll see that overall sales throughout the first 3 quarters dropped from 53,000 units in 2023 to 51,000 units in 2024, and then 47,000 units in 2025. This just goes to show that there is still strong demand in our real estate market as more total transactions occurred last year compared to the previous 2 years. So don't think think that it's super easy to find a suitable rental option if you're loose or have a poor rental profile as a prospective tenant. Make sure that your stuff is all AAA and in a good order. What does all of this mean if you're in Toronto or the GTA? If you're a renter, you'll have more negotiating power than you've had in past years, especially in the condo rental markets where competition among landlords is higher. We still have buildings just taking occupancy, and when this happens, a flood of inventory will hit the market, all being very similar since these condos are all within the same building. Sometimes living arrangements in new builds can be a little uncomfortable since small things like hallways or amenities may still need to be completed. However, this can be a very good opportunity to also secure a unit at below market rent thanks to temporary inconveniences. That's your rental market snapshot based on the latest Rentals.ca national report. If you're thinking about buying, selling, leasing, investing, or simply keeping an eye on the Toronto market trends, this data gives you very valuable insights into where the market has been and where it may be heading. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and be sure to turn on notifications so that you don't miss our next GTA market report. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.